Welcome, fans, one and all, to the first of many more. CLTFC Fan TV presents 4 Points. It's points, not pints, Riley. Live stream. I'm your MC and host, JT, along with moderator, not hater, and co-host with the most, Lee.
What's going on?
We have our esteemed colleagues, Caleb, a.k.a. Regal Soccer, Your Majesty, and Jorge, a.k.a. Top Man. He shoots, he scores!
Let's go. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, fellas?
John and Matt, and Jeff and Kyle. Thank you all for joining us tonight. You're great, and you look marvelous. The 4 points tonight, newest member of the team, Jan, the Polish Punisher, Sobociński, the Prez, Nick, Party Time, Kelly. Questions from the audience. So we'll just try to look at the YouTube stream with comments or whatever, however we can. Just write question in there, maybe a lot of question marks, and we'll try our best to get it in and talk about it, but we'll see how that goes. And of course, PSLs. Take it away, Lee. Oh, hold on. But before you do, I like to have a sip of cold beer from Triple C Golden Boy. It's golden and it's good.
All right. What's going on, fellas? All right?
We're
Everything's
great. We're excited for sure.
Really excited.
Yeah.
Get this going.
There you go. So first up, Caleb, man, I know you're going to go ahead and talk about the new Polish Punisher we got going on over here.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So for those, quick rundown.
For those of you who don't really know much about Jan, which is the majority of U.S. fans, MLS fans, because why would we know about him? He plays in the second division in Poland. He's a left-footed center back who is very mobile, is very aggressive, and is at the core a ball-playing center back. He used to play the number 6 back in the youth days. He used to play center defensive midfielder, and that's where he got a lot of his technical ability from. But the coaches told him that he would be better off in the center back role and that he could progress further as a center back. So here he is now. The reason I gave the nickname to him, the Polish Punisher, and how that all started is because he does have a very old school defensive type mentality. He loves to get stuck in the tackles. He loves to be aggressive, and he absolutely loves just to absolutely wreck people. And so I had to give him the name Punisher. Polish Punisher was just too easy to come up with. But yeah, he's a great signing. He's very young, though. He's raw. He's extremely raw. He does make a lot of mistakes because of his aggressiveness. Is prone to yellows, but he's only 21. As we all know, center backs do tend to get in their primes a lot later. So 21 might be a little older side for attackers, but for defender, it's still super, super young and nowhere near his prime or his potential. So I'm really excited for him. Really, really excited for him.
Yeah, there were some big clubs, right, that were sniffing around after him too, from what I was reading.
Yeah. I actually got a chance to speak to a journalist in Poland, and he mentioned to me that actually they had a concrete offer for Jan when they were relegated from Eredivisie team, mid-table team, and I think that's one of the reasons that they actually went ahead and pulled the trigger. If you watch the most recent interview with Zoran, he talks about it, that they were going to wait till the summer to actually go for him, but they went ahead and pulled the trigger now. So there's a lot of potential in this player. I mean, we don't see a lot of left-footed defenders in the world now as well. So I really like that aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
His name is pronounced Jan
Sobociński.
Sobociński, yes, right. So it's Chinsky, it's a CH sound instead of a C.
But
Sobociński.
The Jan is with not Jan, but with a little J on it, is Jan.
Jan Sobociński.
Look at my name, bro. It's Jorge with a J.
Nah, don't follow the pronunciation. It's not Han.
Great. Okay, for the next one,
I'm half Polish.
Continue.
All right. So Jorge, Top Bin 90 here. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about Nick Kelly and what you think's going on with him.
Okay. So I mean, obviously everyone knows who Nick Kelly is. He's the president. He's been in his role for about a month now, and I think it's really early to actually have a real opinion on Nick Kelly, just because, I mean, he's only been in the role a month. I'll tell you a couple of things that I've seen that I've liked so far. And so one of the things that I've seen that he's done is as soon as he got into the role, he reached out to a lot of supporters groups to kind of get the feel of Charlotte. And I think that's very important. It's always important for the club to have communication with the supporters, right? To kind of get an understanding of the culture, right? That's one thing I saw that he did. Another one that I see is that we're seeing more coverage of the academy team games, which I think is important. You know, you saw the Ryan Bailey report this weekend where he was commentating on both the academy games, and I think they said that in the future they're going to start streaming these games. So I'm like, okay, like you're starting to see these small little differences, and I think that's something that he has. You know, he comes with a marketing and sales background, so I think he saw that as an opportunity. Okay, these are some things that we can work on, right? Now, I have a lot of genuine concerns though that I don't want to judge him on just yet because
it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly, right. But one of the concerns that I do want to air out is that although I think Nick has understands the marketing and business side of things, I'm not sure if he understands the ethos of a soccer club. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it's one thing to know how to make something profitable. It's another thing understanding the culture, right? Like being a president or having an important role in NASCAR or in a beverage company is totally different than being a president at a soccer club. At a soccer club, we're going to know who you are and we're going to watch the decisions that you're going to make. So my only concern is that he looks at the fans, or he may in the future look at us in terms of the profitability potential instead of the cultural aspect of what fans can provide, right? And we'll touch more on that here when we talk about PSL. But like I said, it's a little bit too early to judge. Those are just some of the concerns I have. And I'm going to wait it out a little bit just to see what he does.
Well, one base thought with that, too, is when we're talking about too early to judge, and as I've said before, you know, right now we're creating the culture, which is the most exciting thing to me. Mm-hmm. So, you know, yes, it's early to judge on how you might steer or direct or anything, you know, the culture. But it is interesting just to think about, you know, what we're creating together. So just let's hope we're, you know, lockstep in the same goals.
Well, yeah, I agree with all those points. I just think he was just handed a shit bag when he came through the door these last couple of weeks. And obviously we're going to touch on that here in a little bit. But for sure, I think.
But ultimately, we're going to be looking at him because he's the president.
No, 100%. I mean, the buck stops here sort of thing, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Let me intrude real quick. Go ahead. You finish your thought. I'll go right after you.
I'll just say the coin stops here.
The coin stops here. Yeah.
Well, hey, before we continue on the Nick Kelly train, I think there's somebody in this whole situation that's getting absolutely no heat at all. That is probably more responsible for these ticket prices than what people are not giving him credit for. His name is Joe LeBlue. Now, this guy is the vice president of ticket sales and services for Tepper Industries. This guy is a big boy, and literally his job description is vice president of ticket sales. Ticket sales are directly affected by this guy, and his name is Joe LeBlue. And like I said, I don't know much about him. However, I have a feeling, even though he's going to Nick Kelly, and naturally because he's the president, I have a feeling that this LeBlue guy is a lot more responsible for these ticket prices than Nick Kelly ever was. Considering Nick Kelly, like Jorge was saying, came on like 3 weeks ago. However, I'm not saying he's blameless. You know, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is I'm sure he's a small part or a small percentage of these PSLs being brought in. And I think it's unfair to say he's doing a terrible job because there have been some slight improvements. But another thing to keep in mind is there are no full-time staff for social media as well as PR for Charlotte FC right now. There is no one dedicated to doing 100% media and PR for Charlotte FC right now. So, I mean,
not full-time employees, right?
Exactly. There are no full-time employees right now working for Charlotte FC within those departments. And that right there is a concern in itself and something that Nick Kelly obviously is going to get sorted out soon enough, hopefully. And but like I said, this Joe LeBlue guy is getting absolutely no heat when it is a direct responsibility of his to determine these price tickets.
Until I started hearing about the PSLs and the tickets and kind of just doing the research along with this, right, and talking with you guys offline as well, right? I never even knew the guy existed. So
yeah, no, exactly.
You know?
Me neither. Yeah, exactly. Me neither.
But yeah, like MUFC 92 says, right? He assumes the PSL issue was decided way before Nick Kelly was officially announced, and I would agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
So I mean, here we are, right? We're trying to build this culture and that sort of thing, but therefore, you know, unfortunately, we're here doing what we do, man. We're bitching about prices already. So yeah.
Well, I mean,
So
I think it's important just to add on that. I mean, you have over 30 people on here. Obviously, it's an issue that a lot of people care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, let's air it out. Like, let's not hide behind anything. Let's actually say how we actually feel about it.
No, and that's fair, right? And that's what we're trying to do from the fan TV aspect, right? Is give the common fan, if you will, right, a voice. And
right.
you know, because otherwise they're not going to hear us. So here we are, fans. Go ahead and start popping your questions in there or your comments about the PSLs. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring John and Matt into the show and get their take on it. So, hey, John. Hey, Matt. How's it going, guys?
What's up, fellas?
How's it going?
All right. So John and Matt were nice enough to reach out and say, hey, man, we're going to be on the show. We're going to speak our mind here and kind of express what Charlotte FC community is feeling right now. So, John, man, if you want, go ahead and give us your piece, man.
Yeah. So when I saw the initial ticket lists that were put out, the prices, my initial reaction was, okay, this is not so bad, realistically, comparatively to a lot of other clubs in the MLS and in terms of like local sports in general. I thought it was pretty good. Then I heard about the PSLs. Then I started to pay a little bit more attention, and I was flabbergasted. I can go get a ticket to Liverpool or Juventus for cheaper. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you'll go to a Liverpool game, but that's a whole nother conversation.
This season, but last season or the season prior, when they were electrifying, I could go to Bayern Munich. That's a better example. I could go to Bayern Munich today. We
can live with that. Yep.
And watch the best team in the entire world for cheaper on a relative scale. When you look at like some of the prices for their season tickets and their tier lists that they have, and then you compare that to the tier list that we have here at Charlotte, and we haven't even kicked a ball.
And that's true. So, I mean, I haven't looked at when we're looking at the prices for Europe. Are we converting to dollars too, or are we just kind of? I'm just curious. I haven't paid any attention.
Converting to dollars.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at. So let me look at this right here.
Yeah.
The most expensive season ticket in terms of the Premier League, other than the London clubs, which are going to be way more expensive and like overpriced. Man United, their cheapest season ticket is £950.
The cheapest, you said, right? So that's
the cheapest.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be significantly more expensive than Charlotte FC, but I would rather drop £950 to go watch Man United, especially this season and the latter end of last season. But even just for the environment, I'd rather go spend my money on that.
Would that be because of the bigger names on the pitch, or?
It's not necessarily just the bigger names on the pitch. So obviously, like, this is a brand new club. We can't expect them to be from the get-go, out the gate, be the best team in the league. Not every team is going to be Atlanta, right?
Right.
We can't expect that. However, I know they're not going to bring in any gigantic names, or at least I'm almost positive they're not. It's just that doesn't appear to be the business model of the team. If that happens, I'll believe it, and I'll stand by it. But they're likely not going to be the best team in the league. So maybe start from the grassroots and move forward.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Even if we are the best team in the league isn't charging these prices. You know, Sounders, the top clubs, Atlanta, they aren't even charging these prices, you know?
Yeah.
And so even if we are the best team, even if we come out swinging, it will forgive some wounds. It will kind of help that sour taste in our mouths that we have right now. However, even the best teams aren't even charging these prices in MLS.
No, I know, and that's true, and that's the point. Is that it's a little silly that even the best teams in MLS aren't charging these prices. The PSLs are kind of just on top of that.
Right. And so, looking at the prices today and just kind of going over this, and Matt, we'll let you chime in here in just a second, buddy. I'm looking at the prices, for instance, and I'm looking at like Miami. They got some heavy prices, and then also Columbus. And I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I really couldn't find anybody that wanted to really come on and say, yes, let's have PSLs, right? I don't think even the richest man in the world would say that, right? But, our ticket prices are for a 2020, just the ticket prices are for a 2022 product, right? If you were to add 10% onto these ticket prices now, we're going to be right in that ballpark, I feel, right, with the ticket prices. Now, the PSLs, obviously, that's a whole nother song and dance. But from what I can tell, just poking around, some of these tickets are going to be just on par. Yeah. And basically, the one thing that I haven't seen from Charlotte is most of these other teams have like a family area where they're charging like $20 a game, right? And they're getting the families in there. So, it's I'd like to see some of that, or at least have some sort of knowledge about what's going on there if we're going to do the same sort of thing. So, Matt, if you want to give us your spin, buddy.
Yeah, I question if they're going to open up the upper deck for a fan or cheaper ticket section once they sell out the lower bowl.
That's the plan. The plan for them was to sell out the lower deck and then open up the upper deck for the cheaper, more accessible tickets. But, at this rate, us selling that lower deck is looking like we're not going to have those accessible prices of the upper deck,
Here's my problem with it. I still think they're going to sell out the lower deck. I think even with the current prices, they're still going to sell out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be the crowd that we originally thought it was. And I don't know if it's going to be the crowd that they want, but I still think it's going to sell out. I go back to the calls that Mint City Collective and some other groups have had with Andrea Brimmer from Alline, Nick Kelly, Tepper, even ones back with Meredith Starkey. And what they really hammered was inclusiveness and community involvement and outreach. And they've mentioned this over and over and over and over and over on these calls. We've seen none of it. And these prices are the exact opposite of that. So I really am confused on, where they're going, one, with the PSLs, and two, with the ticket pricing. We chanted at the day one party, David Tepper, he buys what he wants. He buys what he wants. I think we finally got our second verse to that. Now he charges what he wants.
Yeah. And I mean, it's his toys, right? He gets to play with what he plays with.
Yeah. And
is it right that right now there are no full-time employees in PR for Charlotte FC? Because that's what PR is all about, is public relations. Is that what we understand, that there's no full-time PR person just for Charlotte FC?
Yeah, I mean, so to Kayla's point, right? I think everybody currently is like on a contract, if you will, right? I don't know if there's a solid hey, other than Nick and Zoran and his crew, if there's actually somebody getting a W-2 at the end of the year.
As far as I'm concerned, and from my conversations with the club and interacting with people within the Panthers PR, it seems to be that Ryan Bailey is on some sort of contract basis, an independent contractor. It seems that he's not a full-time Charlotte FC employee. My guess is they want to use Ryan as like a sideline reporter when the games start, and then at that point he might become more full-time. But he's kind of been overloaded with stuff, with content, because he's taking care of social media, he's doing the video work, he's doing the writing, and that's just unacceptable for a club that's about to play a year out. We're see a club like St. Louis, they're playing in 2 years. and they're absolutely thrashing us when it comes to socials and PR. We're getting wrecked by them. And to me, initially I thought, is it because of the pandemic? I understand, with the pandemic, the financials involved and all that. But there are other MLS clubs who have full-time staffs throughout this pandemic and period who are killing it on social media. So when I saw that, and I'm like, I don't know if the pandemic is a free pass or is able to be a free pass for the club.
That's a good excuse.
Is that what Meredith Starkey was supposed to be before she was let go?
Well, she kind of played both sides of the fence, right? Unfortunately for her, in her defense, right, she also was doing the Panthers side, and it felt like, Tepper and Glick, they just kind of put Charlotte on the back burner, right? And they were like, let's focus on the Panthers and what's going on. Obviously, we had the new coach over there and everything. So I don't know. Matt, you're a PSL owner now, right?
Yes, for the Panthers.
Right. So how do you feel? Are you in the supporter section, or are you or are you looking to buy a ticket in the general / premium? You don't have to tell us where. Are you buying outside the supporter section?
Well, we have a group of 12, so we put our deposits down for premium. Once premium pricing rolled out, we declined to buy premium. One, I guess because of the cost, but two, because of the lack of transparency and being able to make an informed decision by looking at pricing in the rest of the stadium. I really pointed that out and hammered it home when the ticket reps called me, and they their response back to that is, well, this is how other MLS clubs have done it, so that's how we chose to do it. Never mind that no other MLS clubs did PSLs, but they stuck to their guns on that, and I think it looked like Mint City Collective had said that they weren't even planning to release general pricing this early, but there was so much backlash during premium sales about not knowing pricing for the rest of the stadium that's why they chose to release it last week. So in reviewing the pricing, we've actually, if we move forward with tickets, I think we're going to sit in the west end zone. So we went from premium all the way down to the cheap seats.
Yeah. So I guess my question was going to be like,
big air quotes.
So how do you feel though? Like, I mean, essentially you're paying twice for a PSL, right?
Yeah, that in 7 years they're going to build a new stadium and then they're going to ask me to pay for it twice again. Yes.
I mean, that's my point, right? I mean, if they've got to, in my opinion, they got to try to back out of this somehow, right? They got to. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes for sure. I don't know if they're talking about what they can do, but
I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, it's NC State for JPC here says, right? I would be curious to know how many tickets they sold so far, right? Is it on par for what they were saying?
These are my thoughts. I have a feeling that we haven't seen much word or any kind of anything from the club in response to all this PSL hate, because I think there are tickets selling.
Yeah.
And I think the expensive ones are selling too, the most expensive ones. Because the most expensive ones are going to cater to the rich market, to corporate, to the big businessmen, to the doctors, lawyers, and these people have no problem paying those prices. So I will not be surprised if the most expensive tickets sell out. It's the ones that are the cheaper ones that I don't know if they're going to be able to sell out, because it's not really in anyone's range. It doesn't really cater to medium class people or lower class people in terms of wealth and socioeconomics. But it isn't luxurious enough for the high class in terms of economics. Right. So those kind of lower seats are just a really awkward stage in terms of pricing, where I don't really know who's going to get them.
Yeah.
But think about that though. If it does sell like that, how often are these doctors and people with money going to go to games?
Especially
Not as often as we are.
Especially with no roof, no sort of anything there. When it's raining, when it's cold, when there's the humidity of summer in Charlotte, they're not going to be out there.
When there can't be 35,000 traveling fans like there are at Panthers games when we suck.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I'd like to throw
what
in.
Lee was saying in terms of comparing tickets, I actually did that as well. I compared Charlotte FC to a brand new franchise, Austin FC, right? Like you got, some of you guys saw that report. I mean, their most expensive seats are $912. Our cheapest with PSL is $980.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. And I mean, like, you can argue that There's nothing else in Austin, and they're still pricing us higher than they are, right? And you can also make the argument they're playing in a soccer stadium, we're playing in a football stadium. Okay, let's look at Nashville SC. They're playing at the Nissan Stadium. Their cheapest tickets for their opening season was $425. We're paying $980, plus Nashville is getting their own stadium in 2022. So they could charge PSL, and they're not even doing it, right? They could make that excuse and say, hey, listen, we need the money for the stadium. They're not doing it. Why are we doing it, right? Let's look at Atlanta FC, right? I know we're going to hate them. I get it.
Yeah, screw Atlanta.
Yeah. But, I mean, they've been successful, right? Their cheapest tickets are $558. And guess what? Founding members get a special pricing of $468. So they get a discount because they were season ticket holders from the very beginning. What do we get as season ticket holders? We get PSL. That's the very first thing.
No. We get to sell our tickets later on. That's what we can do. That is the main benefit of it all.
Right.
This is a direct quote from Nick Kelly in Charlotte Post. He said, "We're the first team to produce PSL in the MLS, and the biggest reason we have done it is for one, a sense of ownership. A sense of ownership for what? For me to share my seat with a Panthers fan?" In his interview on Between Two Pints, he stated, "My job right now is to make sure that we connect with the community in Charlotte and help them have influence over what we're building." Well, guess what, Nick? This is your opportunity to show the fans that we have influence in what we are building. Let's see some action from the club. Let's see somebody actually make a statement.
Yeah. So
dang, hard hit.
Yeah. Go ahead and get you a sip of water real quick, man. So we're gonna let John and Matt have the last say here before we bring in Jeff and Kyle for their point of view on this as well. So go ahead, John, if you want to lead us off, man.
Yeah, so I was going to point out when we look at the amount of people that are buying these premium tickets, what kind of atmosphere do we really expect that these people are going to bring to the club when we're talking about how we don't expect the supporters section to be nearly as full? Do we grassroots, like where's it going to be?
That's my biggest concern is the atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just going to be dead? Because even if we're losing on, yeah. Well, hopefully
we'll see later on, like down the road, like we don't know where it's going to go a year from now. Right. Things might change, but as it looks right now, I wouldn't want to go to this.
Are you getting season tickets or no?
I have a season ticket deposit down, but I'm on the fence right now.
Right on. So what would push you over? Dropping the PSLs or?
Dropping the PSLs would probably be a pretty good start.
Right.
I'd also like to see like some more movement in some of the players we're going to bring in, but obviously that's farther down the road.
Right on. Yeah.
So that's something for later.
Yeah. Matt, man, go ahead and let us hear your closing thoughts before we bring Jeff and Kyle into the show.
Yeah, I want to touch on this market data that they keep referencing when everybody talks about their PSLs. So I was part of this market data that they keep talking about. What that was a series of emails that went out to Panthers PSL owners based on your zip code. So it's my understanding they did the Triad, Charlotte, maybe Raleigh area, and a few places in South Carolina. But it was a first come, first serve for 10 people in each zip code to do a private meeting and talk about stadium enhancements as well as MLS ticket pricing. So this happened probably a year, maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. This was very early in the process when Tepper was first starting to talk about MLS, bringing an MLS club. So it was first come, first serve, sign up based on your zip code. It was myself and 9 other Caucasian males that were all in the room together. And I think everybody else in the room might have been over 55, and I was sitting there at 30 years old. But
we're not hating on you old folks, by the way.
No, we're not. But this is their market data that supports PSLs. They brought up pricing on the screen and asked if we charged X for this seat. Would you pay for it? And I'll also note that only one other gentleman in our market data session had been to a game, and it was a Mexico Gold Cup game in Bank of America Stadium. Nobody else had ever been to an MLS game or any other soccer game. So everybody's sitting there nodding, yes, we would pay for that. Yes, we would pay for that. Because these prices that they're flashing up on the screen are 50% cheaper than their Panthers tickets that they're used to paying for. So everybody's saying yes, point. Yes. So that's the market data that they're talking about when they say this PSLs were supported by everyone we asked about. It was 55-year-old white Caucasian males that complain about Cam Newton being quarterback for the Panthers. Those are the ones that are saying that they'll buy PSLs for Charlotte FC.
So you're saying the focus group wasn't that focused?
No, it was real focused.
It was too focused.
Too focused. That's right.
Everybody was focused on getting the free Panthers hat they gave us and all the free refreshments that were on the table. I think that was about it.
That's unbelievable. They used Panthers merchandise to attract for Charlotte FC fans.
In their defense, the first half of the conversation was about stadium enhancements. However, it was stadium enhancements in regards to bringing an MLS team to Bank of America Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, John, Matt, we appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank
Obviously,
you.
this conversation is not going to end anytime soon, but we're going to go ahead and
that's right. Joe LeBlue it.
Yes. Joe LeBlue. Yeah. All right, Matt. Thanks, Matt. John, we appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Guys. Hey, can I add one thing too? And this is the main thing about the prices when it comes to PSLs. In business, in every single business, there's a common phrase. If you can provide enough value, the price doesn't matter. In this case, my biggest problem, not necessarily the price, but it's the value that we're not getting in return for the price. 100%. If the club offered a new soccer-specific stadium, all your refreshments are free, all the gear and support for supporters groups, with a price like this, and just really made it like, wow, this is a crazy sell. I mean, there's so much value in this. I have no problem paying this. Then no problem. So the problem is not really the price itself, even though obviously it's very high, but it's that there's no value attached with that price. It's very common sense. You provide enough value, then you can charge what you want. But there's not any value being shown here to anyone.
We got 4 players.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just going to let that comment go for a second. So, Jeff, Kyle, man, thanks, guys, for coming to the show. I appreciate you guys jumping on and giving us your part. So, Jeff, man, go ahead. Tell us what you think about this mess.
Hey, man, thanks for letting me get on the show and everything.
Yeah.
Well, personal opinion, obviously, quite widely shared with everyone else. PSLs suck. Like, it's just not a good way, not what I envisioned. Definitely limiting groups of fans that, need to have the experience those diehard fans, but don't want to sit in the supporter section, which has been echoed here and elsewhere. And, having that cheap alternative where it's kind of like the gap of the middle level to the supporter section, it's just missing, where it just needs, without that PSL and a good size price, then hey, you can have on the opposite end, have a good price for it. And with that good price, of whatever, 600, 650 season ticket price for it, then you can get people that don't want to stand the whole time and not be paying $2,000 or $1,800 or $2,200 or whatnot. Yeah. And I really think that's, if they got rid of the PSLs, ideally, PSLs getting rid of, and kind of overall price cut of like 10-20% was my dream. Realistically, with the price coming in with the expansion fee and the upgrades and other things like that, I was expecting these prices without the PSL for some of them, but I still think they're off a little bit on some. And you got to remember as well, it's 2022 prices, but still, even so, I know Cincinnati's prices came out, and they are a lot cheaper than ours going out.
Cincinnati's is dirt cheap, man.
But they also haven't been competitive the last 2 years. So
well, I mean, that's fair too, right?
Take, but
which makes sense.
Which raises expectations for Charlotte. Which makes sense with Cincinnati going lower. Hey, new stadium, let's get that hype back in there. Let's fill it up, sell it out, and they have all the club seats and the higher prices in the midfield, in the middle of the field, which they didn't show in that demographic. If you go on their site, I think it's anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,600 for it. So they hit that demographic and they kind of can get everyone together, not excluding anyone.
Right. So Kyle, man, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey guys.
Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, man, give us your spin, your take. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on the show. So I saw the tweet come out, and I think I had a little bit of a different perspective. I thought might be interesting, and so appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess when I saw everything drop last week, I wasn't sure if PSLs were going to happen or not, and when I saw that number, I was disappointed. But and you guys have already hinted at this, or not hinted, but said it, that the season ticket prices themselves are just above and beyond what I think anyone was expecting. And so I guess the slight counterpoint that I was offering on Twitter, which had you guys maybe think about having me on the show, is I think I'm in the minority here. The PSLs don't bother me as much. And I say that because I've been in Charlotte for 6 years. The place I've lived before, I've never had a hometown soccer team to root for. Super excited about having MLS. If someone had come to me back after the MLS for Charlotte campaign ended, and we thought we were never going to get an MLS team, and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about tickets for myself and my wife and my daughter. So, would you be willing to pay $17.50 one-time fee to get an MLS team in your hometown city that you're going to hope to live the rest of your life?" I'd probably pay that to be able to be a part of the team, be a part of the fandom, to have that experience. So I think the fact that PSLs are a one-time fee. Now, granted, I know it's tied to the stadium. They could relocate. They could do all this, and all the stuff that went down with the Rams in St. Louis. So that is a concern. But I guess the backlash on the PSLs, of course, I don't want them. I wish they weren't there. I don't want to pay them. But I'm okay paying that. It's the season ticket prices that had me floored. Because looking at cost of index for different cities that have MLS teams, we are right there with Nashville across the United States. And as you guys probably know, the Nashville SC season ticket prices are on average $20-$30 lower per seat per game than Charlotte FC. I mean, that adds up to a lot when we're talking about season ticket prices. And that's year one. We're not talking about every year they'll go up an additional percentage every year. So they're starting at this really high baseline of season ticket prices. And that's just not going to end. So I was just hoping they would have started lower on the season tickets. But anyway, that was just kind of my perspective. It's slightly different than maybe other takes.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So, I mean, there's a couple of things there, right? I mean, I know Atlanta, right? I believe, Top Ben, you can talk to this, right? I think they have like the original season ticket holders. They kind of get grandfathered into their ticket price, right? So, I mean, that would be one way to offset, I guess, this PSL cost if you go that route, right? So,
well, I mean, they're called founding members, and you have to remember the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is 4 or 5 years old.
It's
right?
way nicer than right. Way. I've actually been to an Atlanta United game. In fact, Caleb Rich here in the chat, we actually went together. Me and the two Calebs. We went to an Atlanta game, and the atmosphere is unbelievable in the stadium. The facilities are incredible. But and the thing is, too, what's crazy is for food, for drinks, they're cheaper than Bank of America.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, for the PSL owners, they're going to, I mean, as little as this is going to be, right? I mean, they get you a hot dog and a bag of chips probably, but they're going to load up the card or something for you to
20 per. As I said, I believe the number was $20 per game.
I think that's what's happening. The lack of good communication, aka PR, and not what Bailey's doing, like a true PR person that's just about getting word out to the public from the marketing standpoint. Say, listen, I know you're paying this much. I know you're paying whatever for PSLs, but we're going to make it a hell of an experience. Now, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, they can't do that quick or whatever. But maybe to your point and everyone's point, we're going to make it $2 beers or really cheap, barbecue sandwiches. I don't know what it is, but the point is, why not come out with that now? At least something like, hey, We know this is pricey, but it's 2022, and when it hits, man, it's going to be a hell of a party. But, my gosh, tell me that now. Don't just say, hey, pay for it, and maybe you'll see something in the future. Give me a morsel. Show me something that makes my mouth water, be it soccer or otherwise.
Yeah, so like we're even like Kyle just mentioned pricing, right? So that's another thing. PSL is one thing that they need to eliminate. They need a price that's probably 10 to 15% lower and let us know what we're actually expecting, right? Because these prices, to me, what I'm looking at our next signings is high quality signings based on what people are going to spend going into the stadiums, right? Mm-hmm. So what kind of coach are we getting? What kind of players are you bringing in to justify this? You can't just say, oh, we're giving it to you for a sense of ownership. No, actually show us why we're going to pay this type of money. You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned Inter Miami. Yeah, you're going to a game that's run by David Beckham. You're in Miami. Like you would just prices. Mm-hmm. We're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I mean, it's still the MLS. Go ahead, Kyle. I'll let you say your.
Well, I was just going to say one last thing to add to the season ticket. I mean, the prices they showed, that's without taxes and fees too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure all of them do that, though, right?
Right.
To be fair.
Yeah.
And, like, this won't go away either. If we have a bad first season, guess what we'll still be talking about? Hey, we got to watch a crap team, and we have to pay PSL prices.
Well, you just watch your mouth, man. We're not watching their crap team. But, I mean, the question becomes, though, right? You would think that the MLS and Tepper talked, right? So did the MLS sign off on this? Is this something other teams are going to see further down the line, right?
I'm curious to see if this is maybe a test run from Don Garber and MLS to see how it does. And maybe they think this market is going to buy anyways. So, like, we'll just run it in Charlotte and see how it goes, and then maybe transition this into other teams throughout the league. I really hope that's not the case, because then it becomes an even bigger problem. Because if the whole MLS organization is behind PSLs, then that's just a beast I don't think any of us can stop,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Charlotte seems to be the founding father of PSLs, right? Because I remember when the Hornets came through the first time, right? You know, we got stuck with the PSLs there, and then when the Panthers come through, you know, the middle of the 90s, right? PSLs again. So now it's like we're building this team. You know, Bank of America came out with an article today stating that they're going to do like $50 million worth of renovations. So, hey, are we paying for that too, right? I mean, it's like if they gave us a 10-year plan, would you guys be okay with that? Like, hey, you know, we're going to do this at the Panthers Stadium or Bank of America, and in 10 years, I guess there's a lot of talk about the Charlotte Pipe and everything, right? And build the new stadium there. Would you guys be cool with something like that?
Well, this from my conversations with Nick Kelly that I've had, he's told me that the plan that he has with his upcoming team is to create a set path, at least for this year. He wants to basically make a schedule that's going to tell the team or tell the fans to be transparent with the fans in order to give them a clear-cut path of how the year is going to look like. When that comes out, I don't know. But it's not going to include anything with the PSLs or with the stadium. There's no way. It's going to be more in terms of transfer windows, coach hirings, probably maybe the starting dates of renovations. But that's all I know in terms of the plans. Right now, it's just a year plan for the rest of the year is what they're looking to make right now, according to Nick Kelly.
If they see an overwhelming amount of negativity around this and so many fans saying something about it, why not come out and say something now? Like, it's been over a week that you've released these prices.
Well, so let me interact. Could it be they're just going to see how well the general tickets sell? You know, if they don't sell as bad, maybe they're as good, right? Maybe then they're going to try to dial this back a little bit, right? I don't know, right? I mean, Matt makes a great comment here in the notes here, right? I mean, is it maybe because the MLS and the expansion fees, right? I mean, $325 million is a lot of money. I don't care if you're a businessman or just a common Joe, right? I mean, that's not $20. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here since, you know, there's only me and Kyle that's kind of talking about pro PSLs maybe. Well, maybe not pro, Kyle. I won't put those words in your mouth. Right? But you get my point, right? I mean, it's an investment too, right? So,
Yeah, but
You know?
you're also not gonna use money that you're not gonna spend Corolla money on a Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what you're getting. You're coming into the MLS no matter how much you're spending. If you're
Yeah.
going into the Premier League, if you're going into La Liga, Serie A, that's a little bit different than going into an MLS market. So even if they did spend that high amount of money, like, you still have to understand which market you're coming into.
Well, and let me say this. For me, the biggest issue isn't even monetary. It isn't even in terms of renovations. The biggest issue for me is the relationship between the club and the fans and how this affects it.
Yep.
Even if we come out swinging, winning games left and right, we make a crazy run to the MLS Cup, that relationship is still going to be tarnished. Yeah, that will definitely help forgive. But my concern is how PSL's tarnished our relationship between the club and fans this early on. We haven't even played it. We haven't even gone on a 5 losing game streak. There's no reason for there to be any negativity around the club, period.
Exactly.
So we kind of got hung up on the PSLs, and Caleb, you kind of touched on this a little bit, right? You know, what about the lower class in the community, right? They're priced out, right? I mean,
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
you know, the club came out, and I will say they are doing good things for the community outside of the PSLs and that. So let's give them credit where credit's due there, right? But
Justin Swinehart doing a great job.
yeah.
Shout out to him.
So shout out to him. So I mean, soccer is played across the world, right? It's the world sport, right? All you need is a couple of rags and a ball, and you can play, right? And so you know, it seems like this is becoming more like a country club, right? In regards to the PSLs, where it's, you know, that poor guy that's working 60 hours a week to support his family. I mean, tickets, four tickets, right? It's going to cost you about $8,600, you know, for a season. And that's just, I don't know, man. I mean, with the pandemic and that sort of thing. Jeff, man, chime in.
I mean, you're saying it all right there. I mean, one alternative thing that I also suggest is like a compromise, and just to think about it was like, all right, what about if they kept PSLs and premium, but they got rid of it elsewhere in general?
Yeah.
Or like, what would people's opinion? So, all right, they got their PSL money from the premium seats, but then the general seats don't have it, and they can lower to accommodate, get the end zone on the other side of the sports section to be lower, so people aren't being thrown over to the sports section and don't know what the sports section is standing at and other things like that. And you're not pricing out the lower income, and you're still getting money from the higher income or other different brackets.
That's right. And I really hope that Charlotte FC becomes inclusive for all and not just for the folks that can afford these tickets. But I will say to give an offset to the way that the PSLs is set up now, I was talking to somebody offline, I won't say their name, but he had a really good idea, right? It's like, you know, if people want to pay PSLs and you want those seats, right, you pay that PSL seat. Otherwise, next season you buy your season tickets in the general section, and next season you get thrown back in the lottery, right, until you find those seats that you want. And once you want to claim those seats, then you can pay the PSL, right? So it's kind of like, you know, give and take, which I thought was a pretty good idea. So comments on that?
You sound like a devil's advocate.
No, like I said, I mean, this all comes back to what I said earlier, is in life, in business, if you provide enough value, there's no price that you can't charge. And there's just not enough value, not anywhere near enough value right now. And like I said, you talked about the Atlanta's Founders Program earlier. That I think is a brilliant idea. You get a permanent discount for season tickets every year for the rest of your life if you buy inaugural season tickets the first year. That's, I think, a brilliant idea. And if say they do keep the PSLs, they're not going anywhere. If that is the Founders Program where you save $200 every single year on season tickets, you will make your money back to get the PSL price, basically to make it back, and then eventually you start earning. You just be saving money straight up.
Yeah.
However, that still doesn't address the problem of outpricing people. That's the issue when that comes in.
I mean, there's not much I like about Atlanta, but that idea is great.
It's so good. It's so
it's a solid idea, right? It gets the investment back somewhat, and then it also allows you to kind of be a part of that, right? So,
just one more comment on that in terms of what Caleb was saying. Like, I mean, what I could see happening is they could sell all those tickets, right? But at the end of the day, the atmosphere for games will be dead. You know, hey, the first 3-5 games, it's something exciting, cool. People will go who bought their season tickets. But guess what? After that, who's going to be there? Just the supporters in an empty stadium, right? Because other people that paid those expensive prices aren't probably going to cater to just going to Charlotte FC games.
Yeah, I mean, and I know Jorge, you're obviously familiar with the Latino market, but unlike most people know, I look white as can be. But my mom is a Costa Rican immigrant. I'm fluent in Spanish, and I have been raised in Latino culture myself, and none of them can afford this. No Latinos at these prices, from the blue collar workers that are most of my mom's friends and most of the people I grew up with, they can't afford this. Period.
Please.
And Latinos provide they provide an excellent addition to any atmosphere. Latinos are some of the loudest, most fun, most loving people that you'll ever meet. And they're people that you want in every game. You want as many Latinos in the game as possible. We see the effects of Latinos with Miami. We see the effects of Latinos when it comes to Atlanta, when it comes to the California teams. And we can create a very powerful atmosphere, including obviously not only Latinos, but everyone. Everyone adds their own benefit to the atmosphere.
Well, even when the Mexico games come to town, right? You see the party, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, JT.
Lee, you remember what Chico said in our third episode in Z's Treehouse, because we were talking about season tickets, and he was saying, you know, the Latino culture, most of them are not going to buy season tickets because they're not going to commit to that amount of time, and it's such a huge amount of money. They always will buy general seating day of tickets.
Right, yeah.
I think there was going to be a big pull of Mexican supporters or other Latino cultures that were going to buy season tickets because it just wasn't the way they would do it.
That is true. Good point.
Yeah, that was a valid point. He did bring that up.
Yep.
Something like that. So, Jeff, Kyle, you have anything else to add, man, before we shut this down, I guess? I mean, it sucks. We all agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing all the supporters groups maybe coming together and making a blanket statement, but I'm not going to get into the politics there. I mean, you know, we see all the chatter on Twitter, so
yeah,
we'll just let that be.
I think it's good that it's something that it's not going away. Like, I mean, that's what they're waiting for.
And let me put a positive spin to this all. The really vocal outbursts from the fans when it comes to PSLs has really shown how passionate fans are of this club. If the fans didn't care, we would not be this mad about it. The fans would be relaxing. Okay, whatever. I'll just go to the basketball game. It's no big deal. But you can tell there's a passion, there's a heart for this team, and people genuinely care for it and want the best for it. And one thing that PSLs have shown me is that we have that passionate base that we can compare to Atlanta, who, you know, want anything possible to make this team the best that it can be happen. And so that's a positive spin, you know, throughout all this.
I agree.
We got 4 players, and we're mad about stuff that we shouldn't be mad about. You know what I'm saying?
Is that just because it's the latest news, though? I mean, what happens when we get, you know, a couple more players? Is this just going to be kind of forgotten and pushed under the rug?
No, because if the quality of the player is not there, guess what we'll talk about? Oh, we're paying for
depends on the players.
And that's fair. And I just want to call out what Wesley Riley said, right, about us getting 3 PSLs and 3 season tickets and that kind of stuff. I know you're saying that in jest, but I do want to give a shout out to the Queen's English show, their podcast. They're getting a GoFundMe account together to possibly have people donate, so that way they can raffle off tickets to maybe some of the lower community, the poorer parts of the community. So, yeah, I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. But yeah, Kyle, Jeff, anything you guys want to say?
I guess just in closing, I mean, the whole thing, like we've said, is disappointing. And you see on social media, I think a lot of people are hopeful that something's going to happen. They're going to offer, merchandise gift cards or whatever, founding season ticket holder discounts, but business is business, and I'm not sure any of that stuff's going to happen. I mean, they would have vetted that out before this big announcement and risk all this bad PR is my concern. So now, like we're all sitting here wanting to be big fans of this team and super excited about it. And now we're all stuck looking at our pocketbooks and seeing if we're going to take the dive or not. Right. I mean, that's where we're all at.
That's accurate.
Well,
that's exactly right.
I mean, and another thing, And another thing, right, is like, we complain about the local media not giving the team any coverage, right? And as soon as they give us coverage, what is it? It's bad. Right? And it's like we can't win for losing, right? I mean, they don't want to cover us until there's nothing. I know the morning sports shows are starting to pick up on it a little bit, right, and trying to get involved. And I know some of the reporters did report on the fact that, we're all bitching and fussing about these prices, but at some point, I hope we get to see more of the Charlotte FC in the local news on a positive spin.
If not, we'll be here for it. So.
That's right. That's what we do. Man. We're here for you guys, the fans, right, to give you guys a voice. So for the fans, by the fans. That's right. Jeff, man, anything?
Man, all I'm going to say is just, Nick Kelly just got a handful of stuff to do coming in here and, give him some time and see what happens,
Good luck.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for the guy, man. He just walked into a shit fire, man. Yeah. So.
I mean, he was signing up for it, so he knows what he's into. And
that's true too, man. I'm sure he gets paid well to take the heat. So, but yeah, I mean, unless you guys have anything else, I mean, we can go ahead and we can call this quits or whatever. But I appreciate everybody in the comment section joining us.
Let's go over some questions that
Yeah, okay. Let's flip through the questions. Post some questions, guys, in the chat, man. I know y'all all busting on us here.
Let's talk with y'all a little bit.
Yeah, what y'all got? What kind of questions you guys got? Anybody? Something about top bin for president. Caleb. Apparently, you got some girls out there that like you.
That was my girlfriend.
Sure.
So it's good to see comments like this, Caleb. Man, we appreciate you, dude. Right? We're again the whole reason JT and I started this thing was to give the common man a voice in some aspect. Right? We're lucky nowadays with the internet and that sort of thing, right? So if you guys have any ideas or anything, and we're going to try to crank up this live show a little bit more too once news starts being more regular than what it is. So the 4 points. 4 points is what we're calling it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
4 points. 4 points.
4 points, and that's to represent the crown, right? In the logo there. So, yeah, man, we appreciate the love that the community is definitely giving us for sure. But
nice.
We can talk about anything, guys. It doesn't have to be.
There's someone that mentioned best coach candidate.
Yeah.
I think based on what the club is going towards, I see us getting a European coach. I mean, our back room is European. Even Zoran came out and said that the MLS focuses a lot on Latin America. We're focusing on the world, which to me that just means that you're one of the players we just bought was from Eastern Europe in the second division in Poland, right? So my assumption is that we're going to get a European-based coach. Again, it's still a little bit too early. We've only got 4 players, but that would be my what I want to see next after they fix PSL and drop the prices is the coach.
Yeah, and adding to, I actually wrote a whole article. I researched a whole bunch of coaches and just kind of basically listening to what Zoran has said and to see who is the best potential candidate, who is actually available this summer. And I came up with this guy named Peter Unikin, who is currently the coach for Young PSV. The PSV connection with Thomas Schalling, which is the director of scouting. There's a connection there, and I'm sure they personally know each other as well. They wanted to play attacking-based, possession-based football, which is what PSV do play and what PSV is taught throughout the entire system when it comes to coaches. And I went really more in-depth into Peter Unikin and how he fits well with not only Charlotte FC in terms of the play style, but as well when it comes to recruitment, how all those different avenues and aspects all really seem to link really well. He seems like a really ideal candidate for me. It makes a lot of sense. The only downside to him is his lack of even though technically he's a professional coach, but his just lack of long professional experience. And so if you want to check it out, go to the Regal Soccer site, regalsoccer.com, and you can see the whole in-depth article and analysis of why he would be a really ideal candidate for Charlotte FC.
Man, that was a cheap plug, man.
Hey, man. Yeah, for coach, I delivered.
That's right. So to answer
down, you can slow it down, Caleb. If you're gonna plug yourself, just slow it down. Soccer, gmail.com. It's okay.
That's right. So to answer Sean's question, man, where's David Tepper at? We send this man emails, and for some reason we get either a bounce back or something. What happened last time, JT, when you sent him to come on the show tonight?
I put my tongue in my cheek first, and then DT told me I don't know. The weather was really warm, and he had to go down to the beach real quick.
I put you on the spot on that one. I seen how good you could catch up.
My brain's too old to crank it out that quick on the spot.
That's right. That's right. So Matt, we're gonna bring you back in, man. Anything you want to add before we shut it down?
No, I don't think so. I said it all.
All right.
Got
man.
it off my chest.
There you go. Well, I'm glad we can help, man.
Hey, somebody said, I think it was John Pate. John said this was PSL therapy. That had me weak, man. That had me weak. I don't know if it was John Pata or John Pate. It was one of you. Sorry if I got you wrong.
John Pate's probably just naked, laying in the bed somewhere, drinking beer is probably how that's going down. So that's right. That's right. So any more questions before we shut this down out here to the live stream world, man? Anybody?
They asked Jorge what his favorite beer is. Did you answer that?
Me?
It's definitely
It's Triple C Golden Boy. It's golden and it's good. I'm trying to get a beer sponsor. I'm going to keep drinking some of my favorite 60-ounce beer on the show so I can get a beer sponsor at some point. So Triple C Golden Ale.
Very nice.
That was very, very good, man. Very good. Yeah, I would just like to say, right, I think our scouting network's solid, right? I think if the team hasn't done anything right, I think that off the field there, they've done an awesome job grabbing those guys for sure.
The technical team has been amazing. They've been really, really good. I'm really excited to see what kind of gems are going to be picking up and the next, recruitment. I can't wait for these. I mean, the main thing that I'm looking forward to, I know we've talked about this, is the coach. Once we know who the coach is, we're going to have a way better idea of the certain profiles of different players within the system, so we can actually start making educated guesses on who's going to be a possible candidate to come in, who would be an ideal designated player. So once we learn the coach, we can really things get rolling, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that why we see those silhouettes on the club's website, on the Twitter, right? That's us doing that detective work there. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, Nick Kelly, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Luca's in the chat.
That's right, man. Hey, if you want on, send me a text. I'll send you a message real quick, and you can come on and you can say your piece if you want. If not, man, we appreciate you listening.
Thank you so much for listening, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm going to drink a beer with you, Nick.
Yeah, or even come on the show. I think we keep asking for that interview, buddy. So, here we are again.
He needs more to talk about.
Yes. Well, we have some things to talk about for sure. But yes, Nick, appreciate you commenting and at least letting us know you were there. That means a lot.
Thanks for listening. It does mean a lot.
So, all right, guys. Well, if I guess that hour's up. Unless anybody's got anything to plug. Anybody? Top Ben, where can they find you?
They can find me at on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube at TopBin90. You see it there. And I got a MySpace page too. Everyone on here is in my top.
MySpace, bro.
Been throwing fire since 2001.
My goodness.
MySpace. Is that website even up still? Caleb, plug your site, buddy.
I'm not the social master like Jorge over here. I'm just on two main platforms, my website and Twitter. So Twitter, you can reach me at Regal_soccer if you're interested in in-depth analysis of Charlotte FC, MLS, United States national team. And the website itself is regalsoccer.com.
All right.
Hey, thanks so much for having it. Hey, Lee, but also just big thanks for hosting this. This was all you. We're just here, because of you at this point, and you've united the whole community, and it's made a great place and a great platform to speak our thoughts. And
yeah, man.
I'm excited to everybody that's on this chat and on here, like when we're actually going to games.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like
if
we've always said,
right? But like we will.
Like we've always said, JT and I, we wanted to give an outlet for the grassroots, right? So here we are, and like I said, we're going to mature this some too, right? We're going to try to figure out a way to have like actual call-ins and that kind of stuff as well. So, you know, guys, we really appreciate everybody coming on. We appreciate everybody following us. If you haven't already, you know, plug our site, subscribe, wherever that button is in your window there. And, you know, until the next big news comes out, we'll crank this back up. So, all right, gentlemen, and any ladies out there, y'all have a good evening.
Let it
Okay.
go.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.